All about the coffee this morning, isn't it?
Man,
Coughing.
I can't even drink coffee. So every time someone says like, "Oh, I'm gonna have my morning coffee," I just kind of want to retch.
You can't drink it.
It makes me throw up. Like every time I've drank coffee in my life, I've thrown up. So I do not drink coffee.
Oh
It's
no.
fair.
I was going to
I
say,
had that
I
happen.
very nearly said, what about decaf? And then I thought, fuck, what's the fucking point of that?
Caffeine is fine. I have
Like drink more than 1 cup. And I think it's just purely because I just drank so much of it so strong on an empty stomach that I made myself sick like that. So I think it's I don't know. Could be an allergy thing. My system was like, nope, you're gonna do that and you're gonna like fucking regret it.
Might just be the volume you drank, probably. What
It could
device do
be.
you use to make your coffee? You don't drink instant coffee in America, do you?
some people do.
Oh, I don't. Some do. I don't. I have a little um it I'll just post a picture of it. I don't know how to fucking talk about it. I use a kettle and a cup and a
Oh,
thing
right.
over the top of my cup.
Right.
What did I do with my cell phone?
Ate it.
Oh, it's in my pocket. I did the smart thing. I put my cell phone in my pocket. So I lost it, obviously. Okay. Don't mind my messy counter.
I've seen one of those before. It's basically just a.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's like a 1 cup.
Yep.
Um,
That's just how I make my coffee.
Cool.
I am also well, I'll only do that at work. But I'll when I'm at work I nuke the cup of water and then I put my tea bag in the hot water instead of pouring hot water over my tea bag.
Ooh. Ooh, dear. Oh, dear.
Just depending on his British sensibilities, it's like wrecked him.
I know.
Oh, amazing. That's awful. Oh.
I mean, at least she's not throwing it in a harbor
Do
somewhere.
that when I'm
right?
at work though. When I'm at home I pour the water. Yep.
Yeah, I would too. It should really boil to make tea well. The water should really hit boiling, and that's when you should pour it on. I think. The main thing is, as long as your cup of tea, when you've got the milk in, it doesn't really matter how you get there. The shade
I
of the
don't
tea should be the same. You know the thing about He-Man, don't you?
oh.
Right. You know the cartoon He-Man.
I never watched it.
Oh, right. Well, his skin color, that cartoon character, is the color that
Oh.
your cup of tea should be.
But I don't put anything in my tea.
Oh, you don't put milk in it. Oh, right.
No.
Most
I don't
Americans
put
never
milk.
milk on their tea.
Right. Well,
I
if ever
don't
you're
use
making,
honey or sugar or anything else either.
right. Well, if
I
ever
don't sweeten it.
maybe you're making tea for an English person. If ever that arrives and you think, I want to impress them by making a good cup of tea, the rule of thumb is aim for the colour of He-Man's skin.
I'll just let him make his own tea.
That's the easiest way to do it. Give him a fucking teapot. Just tell him to fuck off and drink coffee, to be honest. I drink coffee, I never drink tea. I hate it when someone comes round and I say, do you want a brew? And they say, yeah, I can have a cup of tea. I really feel like strangling them because it takes about 2 seconds extra effort. I hate them for it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's true. I drink coffee. I've drank coffee for years.
No, my Englishman is coming over for two weeks, so I figure he can make his own damn tea.
Where's he from?
Yorkshire.
Oh, what about Yorkshire? Oh, right, Yorkshire tea. Oh, Jesus Christ, the Yorkshire been going on about tea. Yeah, don't cock it up for them. Do you know what part of Yorkshire?
Hold on, I can ask him. He's up.
Nearest city.
Uh,
I went to university in Sheffield, and that's in Yorkshire.
that's not how you spell that. Can't spell right now either. Okay. No, I noticed that you and he had similar accents, and so that was why I asked you. Don't step in the cat bowl. Why I asked you where you were from the other day. I don't know, like a year
Oh,
ago.
yeah. Northern. Yeah, it's a northern accent. Broadly speaking, it's similar. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely differences, but you know,
Yeah.
the only two English gentlemen that I know, both from the northern end of it.
It's the best part of it, to be
Well, now he lives down in Tunbridge Wells, but
honest. Oh,
Royal, I guess, if you want to be an ass about it. But I never put that on the actual postage when I send things over, so nobody's complained yet.
Well, since we're all here, we could start this.
Yeah, we could.
Ready.
A little behind schedule, but that's no one's pointing fingers at themselves.
I was here at 10:01, so
I was actually quite surprised. Jeff was quote unquote late today.
yeah, I had to get some laundry out of the dryer and I forgot, and then I was like, shit, so I grabbed out the dryer and ran upstairs.
That's fair.
I was early. I was the first here. First
Yeah.
time ever. No one was
I
here
opened up Discord and I went, "Oh, pizza in already." I'm
Mm.
not nearly enough awake to deal with this.
I was still waiting from last week.
Man, we didn't have a game last week.
Oh,
Nobody
so-
showed up for my game on Friday.
Oh,
Our Saturday game canceled.
Well, if you have a game every day.
Well, one was supposed to be like the Saturday game was supposed to be a temporary play test of content that my friends are developing. I guess I was just getting fat and happy off of a 3-day D&D weekend, and then it got taken away from me.
Oh.
hopefully just for the 1 week.
Hopefully. Speaking of which, I should add some details for the game that I wanted to run by the end of this week. So I need to know what kind of schedule I'm going to be looking at.
that is a good question. I'll figure out sometime today.
What do you mean that thing with the
Oh.
level 20 characters? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, the big fuck you fight.
Okay.
I just now realized every door in my home squeaks.
So last time in here, we were doing lodestones.
Yes.
Yeah,
What?
we were in a control chamber, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking. We'd use the use the mask and would dug up the bad corpse, dug up the old corpse, and you guys have disintegrated the old body. And use the master lodestone to repair all the other sites. And we were talking about some sort of security.
Yeah. I think the plan was to set a password that would change every day. And we were going to take the master lodestone out of Cherry Meadow and put it in the magic circle at the tower. And that way, whoever, probably Ciela, or whoever was in charge of communications that day, would be able to change the password and send it to all of us and any other people of interest via sending.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sounds correct to me.
I think Pitos had an idea, something about blood or something.
Yeah, I just wanted to come. I wanted a way that we could only us could operate these things. In some way that being, like identifies. I was thinking along the lines of, thumbprint type thing, and I think Dale said blood, didn't you?
Yes, I listened to the recording, and apparently I was very focused on blood towards the end of that session for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I actually, at first I thought that might be problematic because somebody could technically, they could, somebody could get our blood kind of thing, which I suppose could happen with a key or whatever. But we could actually, if we wanted to, we could literally give some of our blood to somebody so they could use it if we wanted to. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if that's a bad idea, but that's all I was thinking anyway. I just wanted a way that we just us could use it. I don't know if anyone else agreed with that. I think it did, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's a swell idea.
I don't know if it's a swell idea, but it's certainly an idea.
Oh, what do you mean it's not a swell idea?
I mean, the reason I don't know if it's a swell idea, it does mean everything is now paid for in blood. I've had enough issues with curses and blood curses and shit where I'm kind of like, is that the best idea?
That wasn't my idea. My idea was some way of, I don't know, a fucking retina scan or something. I've no idea. But
I'm on for that. I'm in for that.
I
Issues with the
suggested,
blood, baby.
and Dale came back with, okay, blood, I suppose. But I mean, it's not like we have to chop a finger off. Although that'd be, we'd only get to use it 10 times. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Limited use.
And then you'd be left with like stumps, or would you be able to like
Exactly,
cut
yeah.
off like each
Yeah.
like section of your finger? So like
Yeah.
you could cut off the tip of your pinky, and then you have like that other section between the two knuckles, and you could be like, okay, I'll use that print now. And then that's gone, and then you cut off to the third one, and then by the time you get down to the bottom, then it's like, oh, okay, I'll start on the next one up. Then you could stretch it out a little bit longer, and you would be less crippled for longer, I guess. Blood.
Toes?
Sorry.
So if anyone's thinking of a new character idea for Nubs, we have it set up.
I mean, I'm pretty good at characters.
It's funny you mentioned new character because I'm working on a new Paladin Oath called the Oath of Silence. And it's not like a traditional Oath of Silence where, you stop talking to right or wrong. No, this one is centered around how to put it? Witness prevention.
Witness prevention. Nobody can witness this, so I'm just gonna kill everybody that could, in theory, be a witness.
The oath of silence.
Isn't that Oath of Vengeance?
No. He's not doing it to be vengeful. It's just he's doing things, and when he does them, he makes sure no one knows. It's like a secrecy thing. Like I get it.
Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. No one can raise the alarm if there's no one to raise the alarm.
Hang on, is this just oath of killing people?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's like the most. What is the name of that movie? Ghost Dog. I don't know. It's Ghost something. Basically, it's like the most truly like lawful, neutral thing in the world. Where like you have a very strict code, which is like lawful to the core, but you're not really beholden to good or evil, right? You just follow the rule, and the rule in
Yeah.
this case is you never ever, like whatever you're doing, no one can know about you. It's like it's a secrecy thing. You're almost like like an assassin or a ninja or something along those
Yeah.
lines, right? Where it's like
No
it's very
loose
specific.
ends.
Yeah. It's almost like a mafia hitman, right? Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's slightly subjective as well, I suppose, but yeah.
But however we look at it, we have the master lodestone, and we have a fairly secure way of making sure that only the right people access them.
We can change settings later and at future dates too. This is not like just a one and done. This is how you have to do it forever and ever. Like right?
Right.
Cool.
Exactly. I mean, you have the master lodestone, so it doesn't really, we can change it at any point.
Cool.
All right. Well.
So the question is, what
Yes.
now?
Very good question.
Guess the most logical thing to do is to leave the control room, take the master lodestone out before anybody notices what's happening, and get out of town.
damn with him.
Because
Let's go
what a-
fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, what a coincidence that would be that the Duchess tells us where her dead husband is and the lodestone buried with him. And then, real crazy, the magic circle in the middle of town powers on right afterwards. Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
Sounds like a good idea. Right now, we're basically inside the control room in there. So basically, all we have to do is teleport home, right?
We have to take the lodestone with us.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Well, how do we use the?
Didn't we talk about burner key things?
Yeah, but how do we do that without the lodestone?
Oh, fuck a dog. So do you mean we're gonna have to leave under traditional means?
It sounds like it.
I mean, I can just tell.
Oh wait, yeah, we have a teleporter person.
Oh God, right, yeah. God, I thought we were gonna have to ride a fucking horse. It's like living in the dark ages.
What are you talking about? You have a goat.
Oh yeah, okay, a goat, yeah.
Horse
The
would be an
real
upgrade.
Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are correct. There is the logistical problem of getting home with the lodestone in hand.
Well, Juff can teleport us back, can't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
So we'd solve that problem. We'd go back to where the master key is. We collect it, and then Jeff teleports us home. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am.
Let's do it. Let's go collect the key. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, sounds good.
So you arrive home. It looks the same as it always is. Lodestone in hand. And from here, now where do we want to go?
Can we go back to like, the central area and? Okay, so the master load. Okay, let me clarify this. The master lodestone lets us just go to any of them, right? Like, what
Right.
exactly are the powerful capabilities of it? Is it just we can turn any of them on and go there now?
You can turn any of them on, go there. I mean, that's the simple part of it. They were always like receiving ends. They just didn't also transmit. So with the master lodestone, you can turn one on for like going as well as coming.
I like where this is going. Anyway, memes aside. I mean, do we just continue like systematically going from one to the next and opening them all? Are we closing them all? Like, I guess we can get there from our end whatever we want. We can use the master just to open them, so we don't really need to go to any more of them, right? We have the key. If we need to use it, we can just use it.
Right.
To the notes.
My notes literally stop in the middle of a sentence.
I take all my notes in short form. If I have to write sentences, my notes are terrible. I take everything like.
I can't shorthand.
I have like use Google Keep and I just write like 3 or 4 words to let me know what's going on.
Potentially nuking everywhere, comma, turning off the parts of the and nothing. It's like, oh, I guess I was gonna go back and finish that and just never did.
Oh, more loose ends.
So we've got the portal situation settled. I think the next thing that's happening is the slaver stuff. I think that, Dale, what's the time frame on that?
Time frame on Slaver. Un segundo.
Do you think we should put notes in a journal thing in Roll20?
Probably a terrible idea.
Just from the point of view that there's like, the bigger the world gets, the more threads there are, the more plates there are spinning. We have to keep spinning, if you see what I mean. I don't know. I don't know if it'd be worth it. But it probably would be worth it, but I don't know if we'd keep up with it.
Yes, I was putting stuff in journal, but a lot of that was recap, so that's why I made the videos so I can recap them if necessary.
No, I meant sort of from our point of view, like, because you've got 1,000 things to. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You've got all the stuff that's happening behind the wizard's curtain, for want of a better way to put it. Just meant from our point of view. Like, because when you sat around a table, you've got a notebook and you can just show the notebook to everybody, can't you? You know what I mean? It's quite kind of easy to share ideas, notes, and stuff when you're at a physical table. I suppose it's never occurred to me before.
Okay, so the slavers are in 20 days. Political power for Mecca is secured in 2 days. And
I forget. Were we going to teleport directly there, or were we going to actually do the journey?
We hadn't decided. We kept talking about it. We're like, you know what? We'll talk about this when the time comes.
Well, the time
Oh,
has
God,
come
yeah.
and it's about to pass.
We spent
And
about 45 minutes discussing it as well, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. So I mean, our options are basically either we teleport straight there, or we teleport to someplace that's not straight there, and then walk the last X distance, whatever that distance is.
And what were the basic pros and cons?
Oh, the basic pros of teleporting straight there is obviously they're there. The con is if there's some expectation, or if they were keeping an eye on the slavers as they moved from point to point.
No, of course, yeah. I remember now.
I was a fan of the idea of teleporting halfway there.
Yeah.
Or 2/3 of the way there. Because that's where now just because I think I do things from my own point of view and the way that I think and whatever. I don't need to explain my process. It makes no fucking sense. Never mind. Nobody cares. And I totally forgot exactly what I was going to say. Because I forget what I'm talking about halfway through the fucking sentence. Never mind. Moving on.
So basically, here's the balls we have in the air right now. We've got slaver stuff. We've got trying to negotiate a treaty between Mech and Lunastrella. We've got the tower, which is kind of being worked on already, so it's not really up in the air too much anymore. We've got to deal with the tear. We've got to deal with the House of Champions. I'm not really sure with that. I think we already talked. Didn't we talk to the House of Champions? And get
yeah, we did, and we got their contract renewed and everything. So those contracts are all up on 3/7.
Okay. I have the words guild the ship written here. Oh, we want to become a guild, not get a ship for the guild. Okay.
Yeah, I've got guild ship. Oh, guild ship?
Yeah.
I've got guild space ship.
So did I, which is like, what the fuck does that mean?
Should be
Yeah,
one
that's
word.
why. Yeah, okay. I'm going to put a hyphen in there. That'll make
We
it
should
even
also-
worse. So,
We should get a ship for our guild.
yeah.
Aelin
Yeah,
wants to go on a cruise.
Let's have our ship, our guild, based on a ship, so it moves all the time secretively. I think that's a shit idea. I just had to.
I mean, it's a great idea if you're a pirate.
Yeah, pirate guild. Woo.
We could make that a modified part of our. We could just be like, we're gonna go off pirating now. Are we the
Yeah.
bad guys?
We haven't done. I really want to do something on water. We've not done anything on water.
I had a D&D campaign where my entire group, I was the DM. They all wanted to get a boat and go basically kidnap a bunch of indigenous people and turn them into slaves effectively. That's what they wanted to do. What the fuck is wrong with you? Basically,
Okay, I'm not down with the slaving. I'm okay with the stealing as long as we're doing a Robin Hood style, steal from the rich. I'm okay with that, but I'm not down with the slaving.
Yes, so basically, all in the setting, the halflings were all really most of the halflings, not all of them, but most of them were kind of wild and feral and lived in their own islands. Think aboriginals, basically.
Yeah.
And they wanted to fucking just get their entire. Once they found this out, they thought it was hilarious that they were there's some tribe I forget the name of that's basically uncontacted by man, and every time humans go near them, they try not humans, but every time throw spears at them and stuff. That's basically it was basically how they were, and they were really dead set. No, we're just gonna show up and fucking forcefully bring them into the modern day and turn a bunch of them into slaves. I'm like, holy shit, guys, come on.
No.
They're level 2. They were level 2.
You could have put peg to that by just having all the indigenous people drop dead from the common cold or something, or some really minor. Do you know what I mean? Just scope at the whole thing and go well, every time you go near anyone, you'll sneeze on them and they'll fucking drop dead. Because that's one of the things that could potentially happen.
You arrive on the island. They're hostile initially.
Yeah.
Eventually, you become friends with them. And then they start dying. They become very sick. And you watch them die slowly, every single one of them.
And
But
you
there's
wonder,
no. And you wonder why.
and you wonder
no.
if the smallpox blankets you gave them were the reason why.
So yeah. Anyway, so with the, we can either, if we're not going to walk the entire distance, which I don't think we are, we've got a couple days we could use either. Well, I feel like in order to negotiate with Lunastral, we kind of need our political stuff to get squared away. Need some political clout, currency. That's what it's more like, some political currency in order to make that happen. So we probably have to wait a few days for that. We can start looking into getting the guild stuff set up. I believe there's like a meeting or something we have to show up to for that, right? Like that's how
Yep.
that works.
Yep.
That's in a few weeks.
Yeah. That's in 36 days.
Okay, so the things we could feasibly work on. We could start trying to figure out stuff about like trying to get some powerful magical items, or we could do some research into Nos. Those are basically our two choices at this point. Those are the two things we have in the air we could actually feasibly do. Other than that, we've got to wait 2 days for the like political situation in Mech the winds to change.
And then we have to figure out how far we're going before we get to the slaver bullshit.
Yeah. So basically, well, we could talk about that now, but that's just going to be a lot of talking and not necessarily progressing the story at all. I don't know.
Talking isn't progressing?
And of course, just a reminder, there's always the click method. Movie click. You guys can click.
Oh.
Fast forward. I mean, yes.
Uh,
But why would we do that when we have things we actually need to do? Use our time efficiently to be able to cheese get together.
wait, you don't like time lapses?
I'm fine with time lapses when there's no loose threads. We have 1 billion loose threads, and some of them are
Well-
time sensitive.
Well, do we need right? So, what did you just say? Is the two?
We could either start looking at acquiring some magical goods, like some powerful magical items, or we could start looking at like trying to figure out what the fuck Nos is doing. But
Couldn't we
I
do
feel
those simultaneously?
we could, and honestly, I don't know if Nos is like the most pressing issue right now. I mean, he's definitely an issue. He's definitely something we need to deal with, but
does anyone know what magical items they want, or they need, or they require?
Knowledge and power. The precious. Yeah, that one. Except, without the evil eyeball overlord bullshit.
Mm.
That'd be kind of weird to start wearing jewelry and just having somebody like watching you no matter what you're doing and where you're going.
I
Sounds
don't
like
know.
all Santa Claus business.
I guess it depends on what your fetish is.
My fetish is taking other people's fetishes. That's my fetish.
Well, then you're in for a lot of new things then.
Sorry, I'm thinking about magic items. I don't have anything that strikes me off the top of my head as something I want right now.
Magic. I mean, yeah, I can't really think of anything. I mean, maybe like more nifty armor bits, but like I don't.
Oh yeah,
think
it's the
like, my
people who
attunement spots are up.
the people who need magical items are not me. Like, not that I can't take them, but like realistically, we need to get you guys better magical weapons and some better magical armor. So you have a little more armor and you have more accuracy, more damage. Like, not that I don't want magical stuff, but I don't like. There's nothing I immediately need.
Yeah.
I think I probably want more resistances to different types of things.
That would be useful.
Yeah, actually, I think that's about it. Just more resistance to
Well,
more things.
Yeah, I do. I want to not be hit so much. I want. But if we start looking at magical items now, we're basically going to start browsing through magical items, aren't we?
well,
Oh,
Okay.
I'm not.
no, we that's not where we're at. Like, I feel like we basically need to figure out what kind of things we want to, and then start looking for people who can craft them and the sort of materials we're going to need to acquire them. And I feel like
Oh, we're not going to go on an item hunt?
I mean, we will go for an item hunt in some capacity, right? But some of that's going to be like, it might be one of those things where we need to go to a dungeon. Like, I mean, it varies, right? It could be we need to go to a dungeon or whatever and get the specific item. It could be we need to go get the materials to craft it. So that might mean going to dungeons, harvesting, the last dead elf's left anal gland or whatever. But TBD.
And the right testicle.
We already harvested that one. God.
Oh, that's right. I'm not keeping track of all enough. I looked at the wrong list.
Yeah, it just comes down to. So I think my big thing is we're at the point now where we should be trying to get you guys like +2 weapons with fancy things on them, and not just like, you guys mostly have like one fancy weapon. Like Pete's got the whip.
Mm.
Basically, Pete should have a better second version of the whip for his other hand. Is more or less on that sort of thing.
Or I should have, or that whip should become my second weapon, and I should have a fucking shit top weapon as my first weapon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The point in the game where you guys not having good weapons has fucked us a couple times, and it's not going to get better from here on out.
Mm.
I can't think of any time when that's happened.
Literally the last combat we did, Dale. That wasn't the first time.
Well, I guess
Well,
the
what do you-
decision then is to either look for resources or look for people to make said items. Those are really your major two avenues right now, outside of just hunting for random magical items. Which sounds much like a group of individuals that you guys don't ally with. So, probably not going with option 3.
Yeah, so I mean, we could talk. How busy is Ciela right now? That's the question. We can get her to start doing some digging on Nas and see if she can figure out where he is while we start. Or I guess we could also have her doing research on weapons. Which of those? Okay, I guess the question right now is, I honestly think we should start looking for weapons and like magical items for you guys. I think that's more important to making everything else easier. I think that will like speed up the process of doing all these other things outside of the negotiating bits. So
I'm down. I concur. I agree.
and then
So as far as Ciel goes, she's chilling with you guys. She, I mean, still has obviously tower duties, but she has an assistant, lackey, whatever. So she's
Minion.
minion. She's pretty free. If you guys need her to look up something, or you guys can honestly just go through the go and ask, and he'll have his own taken. Malekith will have like a certain amount, like some pointers, some directions to go.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go talk to him, see what he has to say. Malekith, whatever.
So he says hello. He's very bashful and stutters a bit. He says that you guys ask him, about
Gotta take this call.
where we could find some magical items or equipment for magical items. And as far as intact magical items, the first place that he suggests is like out on the Heaven Plains. There are intact items. This is like a rumored area of like long past battles with really powerful creatures. So if there are regular items that are 100% intact, then that's where they are. Or they're in someone's possession, in which case they still probably would have came from the Heaven Plains.
And if
Sorry.
and if they're in somebody's possession, it's not that difficult to make them be in our possession. Is that what you're insinuating?
Well, no, I was gonna say, and so if you've been in the area of the Heaven Plains a few times, so you know that there's some sort of conflict going on there. So whatever that conflict is, those groups who are there currently would know whether or not items are still there, if one of those groups has those items in possession, etc., etc. He says if you are looking though for like people to make said weapons, the best option is going to be going to some sort of major establishment and asking around. He recommends the trade states, just because he's a former trade state person. So they kind of have more. How should I say this? The trade states have more liquid capital, more liquid personnel that could be persuaded outside of whatever they're currently doing to help you guys with your shiz. Well, as someone from like a non-trade state is probably gonna, someone who's at the level to make the magical items you're looking for in a non-trade state is probably going to be affiliated with the government that they have there, one way or another, in one of the other states, and as such, they're going to be less likely to leave the government-funded post for a band of adventurers.
But we have so many benefits to offer them, like personality.
And living.
Yeah.
Oh damn! I was gonna say that, and that kind of makes us feel like two-dimensional as characters. Hey, come work for us. We won't kill you.
We can offer you a life of security and adventure. And also, you won't die.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Just pay your protection money, and everything will be okay.
Nobody lives forever.
Yeah, nobody lives forever. We can't promise them immortality. I mean, I'm assuming
you guys know several
the
immortal figures at this point, so
I mean,
But even they die eventually.
when we kill them,
Sometimes we kill them. Sometimes they sacrifice themselves. Sometimes we kill them because they didn't sacrifice themselves. I mean, it's all kind of nebulous. What matters is they're dead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how they got there.
So the question is, do we look to go have people make stuff, or do we go look for raw materials slash possible intact, like magical items?
Well,
Tornado goes.
if we have somebody to make the stuff for us, we're still going to end up having to get materials, right?
Yeah. Do you know what materials you need now?
No, we need the person to tell us what they need before. Don't you dare walk on my PlayStation. And he stopped. So, anyways,
I'm
Cat
not looking.
survived.
I'm not looking to go like steal magical items from people who have them. I'm looking to either raid tombs to get them or to make them.
Yeah,
So you know,
I'm down with the making them part. I like having our own like person on retainer. That would be nifty.
yeah.
having you're done with having them made,
Yeah.
not rather than making them. I don't
Oh,
want
God,
to
no, I don't
try
want to do that work.
cobble them together ourselves like some people who've gone craft mad during fucking COVID and think they can make anything they don't eat because they've watched a YouTube video. We're not going to be like that, are we? Like swords made from tinfoil stuff.
I only make
No.
half the tinfoil. That's it.
Let's see. No, tinfoil corset wouldn't do the job.
No.
It wouldn't carry enough of the weight.
So then we seem to be leaning more towards finding the smith person first.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, Malekith recommends going to trade states, but that's not, like the only place you can go.
Sure. Well, does Ciela know anyone like in the trade states we could go to for this? That we want good quality things, but that are cheap. That's ultimately where we're at right now.
So Ciela recommends that we try and find suitable sources inside the like if we're looking for magical stuff, we should start with the magical trade state. So the trade state Mape with the 3 magic guilds is probably the best place to start. She doesn't have anyone specific in mind. Nina knows the territory a little better, and she's with you guys now. But there's definitely certain contractors in that town that like would make more sense.
Mm-hmm. We just go to fucking Mape and go talk to some people.
Yeah. See if we can get someone to join us.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
So we take the portal, I assume.
Yeah.
To Mape. Show up. And Nina recommends going to either any of the guilds to start out with. She lists and she gives you information for like a smithy that she would have known that the Southern Witches used, but they're kind of lower scale, so they wouldn't be what we're looking for, but they might know who to look for, as in like like she would know an apprentice level person, but what you guys need isn't a journeyman, isn't an apprentice, isn't a journeyman, it's a master. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So she knows apprentice level smiths who can do magical smithing. And that's a decent place, like in her mind, that she says, okay, this is where we could start as far as people that I know within the Southern Witches. She said, or we could, go right to the guilds, the other guilds, not necessarily Southern Witches, and say, hey, who do you have all doing your high level magical smithy work?
I mean, I think starting with the thing is this. I think we'll get better info about who's good from the smith than we will about the people who use the smith. Because in my experience, tradesmen generally have a pretty poor opinion of anyone who's not good in their trade and a high opinion of anyone who is good. Whereas people who are like, buying the work of a tradesman generally will go with anyone who gives them what they want, even if that person isn't the best, right? Like that person might cost too much or not do the best work, but they meet some other criteria that isn't necessarily fueled by the labor itself.
Okay.
Applying the real world to a video game, but still.
Like a quick delivery time, for example, or something.
Exactly, yes. Or like,
Yeah.
this is the price. Even if their work isn't as good as it could be, they come in at a price I am happy with, right?
Yeah. I tend to agree with that.
And for making something high end that's fancy, we kind of need to go for the best, not necessarily the cheapest. As much as I want to be cheap and thrifty because that's just who I am as a person, I feel like the most important thing right now is getting the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you don't want to find out you cut corners and you came to the first battle and the end falls off your hammer.
Exactly.
Like yeah. Which I'd love that to happen in the game, to be perfectly honest, because we're fucking expendable. And Dale was secretly rolling in the background, like, to see if the fucking thing fell to pieces.
So we start off at the at the smith then. Sorry, guys, scribble that and finish scribbling that idea from Pete there. Just.
Oh no! I'm gonna buy a sword that's gonna just go limp halfway through.
You start hearing some click clack in the background, then you should be worried.
Yeah.
So you guys head to this smithy that Nina knows, and she takes you down to this little shop in the Southern Witches Burrow, and you can tell just from the outlook that this is much more magical than a normal smithy. They've got some enchanted like tools working about. I would say like in the theme or vein of is that Cinderella? When the housework starts showing itself. Is that Cinderella?
No, that was mice and rodents.
God, which Disney princess is
Was it Aurora?
Ooh,
Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah, when she's out in the forest. Okay, Sleeping Beauty. Okay. Anyway, and there's a little dwarven man, and you know, when Nina comes up, she greets him friendly, and she says to the group, this is Pepper, and you look the man over, and it's kind of an odd name for a dwarf, and then you realize that most color, like his hair is very gray and white, and his beard's gray and white, and there's like patches all over where it's like just bright white, hair.
Mhm.
um, and
Why is his name not Salt then? I'm so confused.
and he says to the group, Nina tells me you guys are looking for skilled smithies, like what can I do to help? How can I point you in the right direction? And he says, kind of like dejected but also understanding. He's like, since my quality of goods isn't good enough.
Well, let's be blunt. We're looking to make some very, very powerful magical equipment. Like, as an apprentice, we're looking for the best because this is going to be very expensive and very involved, and we know that while you could probably do it, we want to be certain, right? We want to be certain that whatever we're spending a lot of money and time to do this, we want to get the best of the best. And the reason we come to you is we know that as a skilled blacksmith, you will have an opinion about who the best of the best is that we think we can trust.
And he nods his head. He says, you're right. Some of this is a little out of my normal repertoire. So I can recommend you to a specialist. He says there's a there's a shop, further down. It's in a back alley. You have to, and he pulls out this little map of the borough and points you in this. And it's kind of this back alley sort of way to it. That this is the. And he's like, this guy, he's really good. He's under contract right now. By one of the guilds. He says, I'm not sure which guild has him under contract. He's like, but the guy's sort of a savant with magical items, and he's crafted things for the guild leaders specifically, and he's a little bit how should I say, he's got a little bit of a god complex, but
He wouldn't happen to be a kobold, would he?
no.
Thank fuck.
I mean,
good.
it's odd that you mention a kobold, because he is the larger form. What are those people called? Dragonkin, Dragonborn. There you go.
We had a run-in with a kobold blacksmith many, many moons ago. Who yeah.
It was a dick. Not dickhead.
Yeah, kobolds are all bad, really sewer dwelling creatures. He says, but he might be under contract at the moment, as far as and last I knew, he was under contract by one of the guilds. That being said, he is 100% loyal to whoever his contract is held to, but he's not opposed to his contract getting bought out.
Well, we will go see this fine gentleman and see what he has to say to us. Thank you very much for your time. You've been very useful, and I'm going to slip him 2 gold pieces as a thank you.
And he graciously accepts them. He thanks you and sends you on your way. And you guys go down this this back alley, this weird part of the borough, twists and turns. You get towards you finally end up at this this house. On the outside is built. I would say it looks almost like it's crumbling from the outside. It's very what would I say? It looks very depreciated. The building, the work on the outside, and there's just like a sort of like a solid just like a pine or an oak door, and that's the most solid piece of this little establishment. The whole rest of the building looks to be fairly well in shambles from the outside, at least. But this looks like the place, and you've even gotten the map from the smithy.
Let's go in and see what he has to say.
So you go inside through this door, and the inside of this building is as unappreciated. No, appreciated. Ooh, I don't know what word I'm looking for here. The opposite of depreciated. Whatever that-
Appreciated.
What?
Appreciation is the opposite of depreciation.
Well, the most appreciated, most fancy looking building on the inside. The inside of this building is gilded. It's got crown molding. It's a really, really nice looking smithy on the inside, and everything is just looks like it's been cleaned by a professional. And you go inside, and there's a little forge, good sized forge, and you come in to see this large dragonborn like pulling the skin off of around where it looks like gloves, essentially. Like he's pulling the skin off around his hands and his upper forearms.
So he's shedding.
Yeah, he's
Molting?
shedding, just molting, however that works.
Molting, shedding. Yeah, it's interchangeable.
And he throws the molted hands in the.
Is he
in the
doing this right in
furnace.
front of us?
Yeah, as he hears, like, when you guys come in, there's like a little bell on the door, and it rings when you guys open the door and come through. And he's pulling off his gloves and throwing them into the fire as you guys are coming in.
Right. Well, but Samuel's going to spend the next 5 minutes fucking almost vomiting, trying to hold back a bit of sick for the whole rest of the conversation.
And he says in a very gruff voice, he says, you must be new customers. What can I do for you? He says, I'm sorry, but most of my personal work has got a little bit of wait time at the moment, but it's well worth the wait.
What do you mean? Well, I'm going to introduce myself. But first I do have a question. What do you mean by personal work?
He says, I'm currently under contract by the Ever-Living Mages, and so all the work gets first priority at the moment.
Okay. How long does your contract with them last?
He says, the current contract is for another, for 1 more month, and then they have to renew it again. He says after that, I will, I'll be free to do, any normal work.
Well, so I'm just going to sort of like tell him why we're here, what we want. He, see if he knows who we are.
So he starts listening to, what you guys are looking for, and um, he starts to think for a second, and he says, "Are you guys that new startup in Mech?" He says, I've heard lots of things about the winds in Mech changing." He's like, "It's good for business." And then he asks, would you? He says, "Would you would you like me to make you some things? Like as I said, I can put them uh, uh as I get time, I'll work with them more." He was like, "Don't let the time bother you. Um, the
Well,
work's gonna be highly, really good at work anyway."
I'll say this. I'm gonna tell them kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for powerful magical weapons, mostly. Some armor here and there too, but we know that most likely this is not the sort of stuff he's just going to have materials for on hand. And honestly, we don't necessarily have the materials for them on hand. It's very, there's some expectation, at least on our end, that we're going to have to go acquire some materials in some capacity.
He says, "No, you're definitely correct. For the sort of things you're looking for, you're gonna need um some specialty equipment." He says, some of the equipment I am sure you have." He says, a a decent part of the work itself is using the magic within gemstones to help the magic of the metal interact, and they interact together, and they make this sort of beautiful dance, and that together the beautiful dance makes this beautiful performance, and that's how the magic works best. He's like, "So but the the metals and the main materials in the weapons you're looking for, would be difficult, but not for people of your caliber."
Sure. And like I said, we assumed we would have to acquire some of this. So more or less, what we'd like to do is hash out a plan with you, figuring out what we need, get some materials, and then either put you on contract starting next month, buy out your current contract. We have options. It really just comes down to how long it actually takes us to get what we need and like what your time frame looks like.
He says, "Well, your average weapon, it'll take me between 3 to 5 days to work to make." He said, larger things will obviously take me a couple days more, and more complex, obviously, again, take me more. He said, "I'm not opposed to the contract being bought out." He says, "Honestly, the majority of like the buyout cost would be to essentially pay back the like the forward note that I'd gotten from the Ever Living Mages." He says, or he says, "It's also possible to just get the contract from them." He says, "If you're looking for a more heavy-handed approach."
Mm.
He said, as far as buying out the contract, my contract, if you were to buy it out, it would be like $5,000.
1,000 gold, you mean?
5,000 gold. Yep, 5,000 gold pieces. which is probably a lot more in this economy, or maybe a lot less. I don't know what I've done to the inflation of this economy with all the extra gold you guys have. The economy is in shambles.
Okay, so
What about
First-
the shareholders?
I guess first let's ask him what do we actually need to acquire?
He says, "Well, the type of the type of magical items you're looking for, can only be built with one of 5 bases. So the bases, at least that I've worked with, that are most effective, are silver tungsten, dragon, like dragon bone or dragon scale. There's like dragon pieces in general, dragon carcass. I guess I would envelop the whole thing. He says phase stones, purgatory bricks, or nether stones.
Don't we have a lot of dragon bits hanging around?
Yeah.
I know
do.
besides in our armor, there are a number of. I know we have teeth.
We have teeth, we have talons,
Mm-hmm.
our
It's a shame.
teeth.
I mean, couldn't we just go and kill another dragon? Just go around, we'll make the stuff we want out of the dragon, and then keep the rest of it for raw materials for yourself as part of to offset against payment.
He says, now keep in mind the best materials are going to be made from the best materials that are made from dragon carcass are going to be from the best dragons. He was
All
like,
right.
so some of like not all of your pieces that you may have now, he's like, I'm not sure what kind of dragons you've slain, but what what generally what works best is something of like some of the stronger, like a red adult. He was like usually has about the lowest level that I can craft with. He was like, but you're gonna get better results with something of of an ancient variety. He was like, that's gonna be your best bet to find or to make weapons out of if you're going the dragon route. He was like, just then usually there's like a number of, let's say one femur doesn't work for a sword. Okay, fine. You've got another femur that's of equal quality. But if you have an adult, then maybe it barely meets the requirement. But maybe and probably most likely it does not. He was like, and obviously dragons are a source that have, it's not like you find one rock and it's equivalent to one thing. A whole dragon carcass can be used for lots of different orders. But on the smaller dragons, you have less number of orders that can come from that dragon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He says really the major requirement on these magical things that you're looking for is actually not in the core material itself, which is what I've been describing. You're looking for to use the blood of, or any vital organ. We can distill the magic of the creature from, and you'll need high level creatures. I've specifically worked with just about any creature. However, dragons don't make good for this ingredient. You need an aberration, a celestial, a fiend, a fae, a giant, a monstrosity, or an undead. And they all have their own separate integral parts that they do with with each application. He says as far as the gems go, he says your average average high end gems such as a black opal or an emerald, sapphires, rubies. The high end ones are what I'm looking for to kind of tie all the magic together as a focus sort of thing.
Have we gotten any of our hoard of gems appraised to find out its quality?
You have. Let me look at it. Okay, so of the ones that he mentions, they're all under, and I'm going to guess this is correct, like across the board. But they're all like, if they were appraised, they'd be worth 1,000 gold pieces. But out of the ones he lists, the 3 sapphires at the bottom of on the communal backpack and the precious gems, the 3 sapphires, the 3 opals, and there's a ruby higher up that also qualifies, and an emerald that's not listed.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
He says now, when all these things, when the each like building block material of the 5 I mentioned reacts with each kind of gem in a different way. They have their own magical effects and own advantages. He says, and the each of like the core magics that are distilled from a high level enemy, they have their own effect in and of themselves. Like they add a super special effect on top of everything else. But but you have to have those in order to bring out the stronger versions of the stone and the gem themselves. He says it gets a little technical the more I get into it. The end result is you might have some of the ingredients now. More than likely you're going to have to find more of these. He's like, but it is definitely doable and very much within my skill set. There is no one better than I am. So you've come to the right person.
Just from a practical point of view, right? If we're going to ask this guy to make magical weapons, how sort of rare can they be in game terms? Can he make any almost any standard of weapon?
Okay, so
within the right means.
The I'm just looking at like the table that I built put together on one. But so let's take, for example, you have a like a dragon sword that's infused with both the spirit of a powerful aberration and a powerful undead, and you have, I don't know, let's say an emerald tying everything together. Okay. So what we're looking at here is there's a magical effect from the aberration. There's a magical one from the undead. And I'll just read you the two examples for the undead one because that's the one I have filled out the most. Okay, so when you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can cause the creature to explode with necrotic energy. Each creature within a 20-foot radius, except for you, must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 10d10 necrotic damage or half a successful save. The other possible effect you could go with is when you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can cause other creatures to feel death's icy grip. You can choose the number of creatures that you can see equal to your proficiency bonus to make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 5d8 necrotic damage and is paralyzed for 1 minute. At the end of each of its turns, the creature must make another Constitution saving throw. If it fails again, it takes an additional 5d8 necrotic damage and remains paralyzed.
Since we have a giant melee fuck pile, I don't feel like things that explode are optimal for us at all because we're just always going to be friendly firing each other. So that seems
Well, and I mean,
suboptimal.
this is just an undead one that I'm pointing out. But
For sure. My
Well,
point
like-
was only these seem bad. Like that seems bad for us in particular.
Yeah.
No, from right,
I would say these would be, from an out-of-game perspective, the max level of stuff that's going to come out of here would probably be artifact level. That's a little more concise than a long-winded
Yeah, that's
explanation of
what-
this awesome
so,
table
like,
that I made.
yeah, that's what I was driving at, really.
Yeah. But then also it gives...
Like, there's no point us asking for something that's, I don't know, a rare item if we could fucking dial it up to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, these items could be out of game. From an out of game perspective, they could be dialed up to... They would start at, I think, what is very rare, and
Yeah.
then go to legendary, and then can be powered up again to artifact.
So essentially, if we found like a legendary item on a list in a book, right, as we're like browsing through fucking Tashes or whatever, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
We could in-game order it off this guy realistically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no point of skulking around and just thinking, oh right, well I want a little. Right. Okay. I see. That's all I was trying to get a scope on where we are with how good this guy is at what he makes and how.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, I've got a better idea.
I mean, this guy isn't gonna make Baba Yaga's Pestle immortal.
Mortar
But
and pestle?
something, yeah, mortar and pestle. But something on that level is definitely within his skill range.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we'll have to come up with a list of stuff we're asking for. He'll tell us what we need to get for him to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
So now we just have to figure out how we're going to get him from his location to our location.
I feel like realistically, what are you guys' weapon situations? Like, I know Pete needs a second weapon that's actually like a real weapon to go with his whip.
Well, to be honest, if we're talking about the level of weapon that we're on about, I'd be just as well getting 2 new weapons and selling, like, trading another one in against it.
Sure, but I feel like I agree with the notion, but I feel like, I mean, time is a factor, right? We don't have time to necessarily like
Yeah, okay.
We definitely want to get you all weapons, or like we want to get you all something, but we don't want to start with, well, let's get Pete 2 new weapons when just getting you one would be a large upgrade.
Oh, I don't mean that. No, but if we can come back to the sky, I'll get 2 new weapons. In the meantime, though, my whip may as well become my second weapon.
Yeah, so we need to get you a new main hand. What about Aylin's weapon situation? I don't actually know.
My swords are not that because my 1d6 slashing plus the here. Let me just do the thing.
Do the thing. Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. Okay, wait a second. There's the. Where was it?
When you said do the thing, did you mean open your character sheet?
Well, no, that one's actually open.
Oh, right, because when you said do the thing, I thought, oh, I better open my character sheet. I thought, just assume that's what you meant.
So when I have them as two, is the dual wielding, they're 1d6 damage each, plus the extra whatevers, and then the secondary damage is 1d8 lightning, and then if I ever, which I almost never use them coupled together into a single blade, but if I use them as a single blade, it's a 1d10 with 2d10 thunder slashing. The 1d8 slashing with 2d10 thunder. Holy fuck, I can't talk. Ugh. Yeah, so the base damage could probably go up a little bit, but the magic bit is nifty.
So what's Aylin's armor like?
It could be better. Well, it's 19, so I think it's plus.
No,
I
no,
think
I
it's
mean,
just a +1. It's not really. It's just normal armor.
Yeah, because if that's the case, your weapons aren't insane
Bad.
or anything, but I mean, we can definitely do better than that, especially if you're dual wielding. Like, do you have the dual wielder feat? I don't know.
I think so. Do I?
The
think
feat
I
that lets you
do.
use non-light weapons in your offhand, so you use D8 weapons, which is what I'm asking.
I know you at least have dual wielding fighting style.
Yeah, I have dual wielding fighting style, and then I have come on, brain, you can do the thing. I have proficiency. Oh, I have proficiency versatility. Yeah, that word. Nope, that's not what I thought it was. Oh, that's because nope, that's not what I thought it was. The combat superiority, then no maneuvers. That's fucking maneuvers. God damn it, again. Oh, that's why.
Dual wielder feat is you master fighting with 2 weapons. You gain +1 bonus to AC while dual wielding separate weapons. You can use 2 weapon fighting even when the one-handed melee weapons you're wielding aren't light. You can draw or stow 2 one-handed weapons you would normally be able to only draw or stow 1.
I'm gonna go with no.
So that does limit it because we can't put heavy, like you can't use heavy weapons, right? It limits you to like D6 weapons. So that is the thing. Though we might actually be able to get them to make you some D8 weapons that are light. That actually might be a reasonable stance. Try to get some D8 one-handed weapons that aren't heavy. That might be a reasonable thing to try to do because that's basically like adding an additional +1 to your weapon.
Yeah.
So you need weapons, but you also need armor. Pete, what's your armor like?
Well, my armor is my overall AC is 20, right? And my armor is, where is it? I think it's fucking armor. Hooded leather armor +2, and that cape, which is I think an additional +2. if you remember. Do you remember we had a conversation about it because I fucking forgot all about it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't activated. Cloak of Protection. Oh no, wait, which is an AC. Sorry, no, that's an AC plus. AC plus 1. And then my armor is plus 2. So anyway, yeah. So it amounts to a armor class of 20. But there's a reason I didn't want heavier armor, and I can't fucking remember.
Because you don't necessarily need heavier armor. We can just get you better versions. Like, we get you a magical leather
Yeah,
armor. or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. But there's a reason I didn't, or just move up to heavier armor. That's
Yeah.
I think
Wasn't
it
it
was
because you're
it's
dex
probably
based?
dexterity, of course it is. Yeah, that's why it was. So yeah, I couldn't remember.
So that's why
Yeah.
I didn't go for heavier armor.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, better armor. I mean, because the thing is, because I've gone. Yeah, you get caught in a corner really when you think about it. Because I'm not using huge weapons. That's what makes you think, oh well, I'll go two weapon fighting, which means you're not carrying a shield. You know what I mean? When you start to add it all together.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why that dual wielder is. I mean, at least in my mind, that's one of the perks of getting that feat is so that you.
Yeah, well, I've not got dual wield of feet. I'm just using two weapon
Oh
fighting.
yeah, no.
I know what you
I
mean.
just meant that's why in like out of our game, in general, when
Yeah.
I think about building a character, that the dual wielder feat comes into my mind because you want to try and offset the fact that you can't use a shield.
I mean, it's literally just +1 AC, +1 damage. It's a very good feat.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Well, if we ever get another feat.
Always wanting something.
So. So what do you think we need, Joff? Because you know.
Well, I think we definitely need to get you an offhand or a second weapon. We need to get Aelin, and I think Aelin getting some sort of magical armor with some stuff that would make her a little less squishy would probably be optimal for her for now.
What's your current AC?
Me?
Lenny? Yeah.
Yeah, 19.
19.
Yeah, if we get her a +2 armor with like some sort of magical resistance on it, I think that would be pretty optimal. Like, I think that would be a pretty big increase for her.
It would be a significant increase.
Yeah.
See, the daft thing is, I've played a fucking chunk of sessions up with only actually 18 as my armor class because that thing wasn't. I don't know what happened, but it must have been last time I leveled up or the previous time when.
Roll20 breaks my armor class literally every other week.
Yeah, well, I hadn't even noticed, and then at some point I thought, I'm sure that was 20. Oh, it must have been something magical that was happening. And didn't look into it. It was quite stupid of me. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you sort of go, what?
Oh, I just consider myself a noob and I have no idea what's going on at all times. So I'm just like, I guess this is how it goes now.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I should pay attention.
Yeah, I think we try to get Pete some sort of weapon, Aelin some sort of armor, and we would. Someone want to fucking yell at Blackjaw because he's napping.
Wakey!
Seems a shame to wake him up. Really. I did think somebody snorted before, but do you think he was snoring?
He was snoring.
He was snoring.
Oh, right. I thought somebody just snorted, like laughed and snorted.
Oh, he's been snoring.
I mean, I did. I snort when I laugh, but
Oh,
yeah,
right.
no, he was definitely snoring. Hello. I would make bacon, but apparently you can't smell things through the internet yet.
So generally, what we used to do for situations like this, when I play other games, we'd have an extra channel and just drag someone in there and have someone yell. But blare music, that's the other option. He also might have like just got out of his chair and dragged his ass to bed. Like there's an option there if that had been a thing that happened. So I don't know. Anyway,
I'm literally playing D&D in bed right now.
are too fancy.
Do you know what problem?
No, I just don't have any chairs that are available for sitting on.
He probably sat there last weekend, wide awake, pissed off that he missed 3 sessions of D&D, and then he's finally got to session of D&D and fall asleep.
So let's look at it this way. So Pete, what do you want from a weapon? Obviously, we have limitations, and it needs to be a light weapon in your case, and it needs to be a finesse weapon. So it needs
Yeah,
to
but
be
the
like,
stuff you could do, right? Well, first of all, foremost, obviously more damage, it's obviously more damage, right? But just having a plain old like, oh, it's plus fucking whatever. I don't know whether that's the right. Like what? See, if you get like
no. So stop. Okay. The mechanics of it are easy to solve. Like the mechanics are the easy question. I'm looking more for like general. Do you want whips? Do you want short swords? Like what sort of weapon do you want? Is question one. That's what we're starting there because.
Oh, you mean from a flavor point of view?
Yes, because numerically, because of how D&D works, we can put literally anything on any weapon type.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I realised that. I thought you were asking about mechanics rather than flavor.
Well, I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but we're not there yet.
Right. Well, from a flavor point of view, I don't know. Probably something ridiculous like a flaming sword, I suppose. Like, yeah, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but it would have to be a short sword.
The only reason I'm doing this is because you have the whip. If you had a second whip, you could attack from 10 meters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I could have a second whip. I could have a second whip.
If you want to be like whip guy, you could be whip guy. If you don't want to be whip guy, you don't have to be whip guy. I'm saying it's an option.
I just imagine you have, instead of those big ropes, you have like whips on the end, like dual whips, like.
Yeah, I mean, I could do another whip. Ironically, though, because we use flanking, we almost always move into flank, and the whip then it's rendered, not as useful as it could be.
Sure, but like having that option is worthwhile.
Having it as an option, of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I suppose from a practical point. So in actual fact, from a flavor point of view, it's just got killed by a practical point of view, which it would make more sense to have 2 whips.
All I was that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to be flaming sword guy, we can make you be flaming sword guy. That's not a problem.
I've just had a compromise idea. Why can't it be a flaming whip?
There's no arguments from me about this. I'm just saying.
It be literally a fucking flaming whip? There we go.
Flaming chain whip.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Make it a fucking chainsaw chain whip with flaminess.
Yeah. But a whip of flames.
Ooh, like little fireballs that are all chained together.
Yeah. Yeah.
The flailing fireball.
It makes sense because you get that extra, like you say, the 10-foot thing, and because there's a sword, isn't there, that you can? Is there not a sword that has got some word? You say some word and it fucking bursts into flames. You use a bonus action.
There
are. And it actually lights up a place at the same time. You could rework that into a whip.
Yeah, easily.
Although it's probably fire damage, therefore, isn't it? It'll be like standard damage plus so many D whatevers in fire damage of it.
Alistair has a flame tongue dual scimitar. Double-bladed scimitar. I think that's what you're talking about.
Is it? Possibly. I've got D&D Beyond.
He's got a nice plus 12.
Flame tongue sword. There's a weapon you can use a bonus action to speak a magic. This magic sword's command word, causing flames to erupt from the blade. These flames shed bright light in a 40-foot radius. Blah blah blah. While the sword is ablaze, it deals 2d6 fire damage. Flames last until you use a bonus action to speak the command, or you resheath the sword. Oops.
Oh man, if you guys are looking for better weapons, those that demony longbow and demon longsword that you guys passed up on. Those are plus.
You mean the highly cursed items that were likely to be like
Didn't the longsword not fit anyone though for some reason?
It was a longsword. No one here could use longsword or a strength weapon.
yeah. You and I are both dexterity based.
Yeah.
Halbjorn has like
A mace.
a ridiculous mace item going on already.
Yeah.
And like I don't want a cursed crossbow. I want that cursed knowledge, not that cursed weapon. Give me the books.
And because they
That's just a-
deal 3d10 poison that overcomes resistances and immunities.
Yeah, but there's a curse that goes with it.
Curse schmers.
Do people really say that?
I mean, he just did.
No, like say a word, say a word. Does that like
Yeah.
crop up in conversation? Really?
Sometimes it
Before
just
I saw
depends.
anything- right.
Yeah,
So
it
that
depends on
happened
where you're
before.
from.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if we could get you like a +2 flame tongue whip, I think that would be pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
Well, what's the base damage from a whip then?
Whatever you, I don't remember. Let me look. I want to say it's a D4, but I might be wrong.
See, that's just amounts to nothing then, doesn't it?
I mean, you have D4 versus a D6, right? A D6 is average 3.5. A D4 is average 2.5. So
yeah, but doesn't sound.
is it because most of your damage from attacking on a martial character is not from the weapons damage, but from your mods and like the weapon mod. So most of your damage comes from your strength mod plus any feats you have that deal extra damage. Because even if you're using like a D8 weapon, like one-hander, that's 4.5 damage. If you have +5 strength and a +2 weapon, you have +7 on top. Like that's almost double what you get from the one-hander itself.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I'm just from the point of view that that's not a particularly. They're not particularly. This is why I was asking about how big can we think on the weapon front.
We could think bigger than that for certain.
Yeah, because like like if we're just going to get +2 weapons, it's not that big of a deal, is it? We could
really,
probably go to a market and buy them.
Well, no, probably not. +2.
Well, you know what I mean. I don't mean go to a market. We don't need to source or like specialists to make them for us.
Well, no, we're looking for a +2 weapon plus mod. The important thing of the flame tongue is the 2d6 extra fire on every hit, right? So like, if you're going from what do you have, a +1 short sword or just a normal short sword? I don't remember.
Oh no, I'm actually using
I thought you were using 2 whips. One cool whip and one just +1 whip.
a +1 whip.
So if you have a +1 whip right now, that means your average damage is a D4, which is 2.5 plus your dex mod, which is 5, 7.5, plus your +1, 8.5. If you went to a +2 flame tongue, you're adding an additional 2d6 +1, so you're adding 8 extra damage per hit. So you're basically doubling the damage of that whip.
Yeah, I get it. Right, I see what you mean now. Yeah, okay.
And that's a pretty big upgrade. But I'm saying like we might be able to do something even cooler than that, depending on what the devil's in the details and what Dale has for us to offer. But basically, we're looking to get you a weapon that's realistically, for the level we're at, an appropriate weapon would be a +2 with some sort of modifier, like something cool. Like your current whip does the lightning hit on it, like the random damage hit on it.
Yeah.
The flame tongue is obviously the 2d6 fire damage. It just comes down to like what the special effect is on top of the +2.
Can anyone tell me why my D20 is suddenly asking me if I want to do my rolls publicly or whisper?
No clue.
No.
I don't know why, but I can fix it.
Mine didn't ask.
I think it might be something I've got when on a setting.
Okay, try now. Did it do it that time?
No, it didn't. It just did the roll. What was it?
Okay, so on your character sheet,
Yeah.
when
Whoa.
I went to, if you look at your character sheet now, it has and there's the little gear.
The settings type of thing, yeah.
Yep. When it says whisper rolls to GM, it said query whisper, and I just changed it to never whisper.
Oh, right, okay. I see.
I don't know why it started doing that.
Well, I've been trying to learn. I've been fucking about with Roll20 because I've been trying to learn more about it. So I might have clicked on something at some stage that I might have done. Not in this game. I've just been just messing about with it really.
So I think we have kind of the logistics of some cool ideas for where we can, like the direction we can go. I think the question still remains the same: as how are you going to acquire the services of said blacksmith?
Well, that is actually not high on my priority list right now because until I know what we're getting and how long it's going to take to actually make it, and he can tell us that, I don't know. Like, I need to know what we're making so I can actually figure out, okay, if he's on contract for a month and he can only work on, like, he might be able to work on this a little bit in that time, right? Like, just, if time allows, he might be able to work on it a bit. That's not a huge deal. We can buy out we can get his contract next month. But if it's like one of those things that's going to be like, oh, it's going to take us a month alone to get all the materials, and fuck it, we'll just, come back in a month and hire him, sort of thing. So until we know what we're actually doing, it's one of those things where it's like,
Oh yeah, you're right. That is a very astute point, sir.
So basically, I need to know what cool things can we add to a weapon for Pete. We want something that's not going to blow us up because we have this giant melee fuck pile. We can't have them blowing each other up all the time. I already have to avoid blowing them up. I can't also make them avoid having to blow each other up.
I think the less explosives around Helbjorn, the better. To be honest, as well.
So, basically how I have it set up is that like the main material has like a static benefit. So, at its highest form, one has +3 to AC, one has +3 to attack, one has +3 to saving throws, one has an additional 1d10 damage, and one has advantage on the save. All the gems at their max level add +2d8 and then a specific type. And then
is there any way I could put that in writing? Because trying to actually follow what you're saying while you're listening.
Yes, hold on. I'm gonna just share this document.
That would be much easier. Thank you very much. So I'm trying to grok everything you're saying, and it's like, oh god, this, even for me, Mr. fucking autistic math guy, has too much math.
Yeah, and I'm half dead, so like you start getting super technical and my brain just goes on vacation.
I know how my wife feels when I just start spurting about numbers.
Like usually I'm not that bad and I can like follow along. Like I might not be able to make total sense of it, but I can at least like see how those dots connect. But like today, I'm just like
Well, and
in one ear, out the other. Hey, look, that's a cat.
I definitely got really what do you call it? I made a lot of things for it. Okay, so if you go, I just posted in future plans.
Oh. Future plans, future plans.
It's like the second one from the top. Because it's alphabetized.
It is, because I got really anal about that shit too.
That's fine. I like alphabetized.
That's another word. You know how you've got 3 apply for guildship on this list of stuff?
Say that again.
On number 3, you've got apply for guildship.
Yep.
Can you put 3.1 build guild spaceship? Wow. Just so we know that it's 2 different things.
Okay, so you go over to exotic materials. That's where I've been working on this. The 2 times 4 per short rest, you can ignore that. But you can kind of see how each of the categories, they all have their own separate factor into it. And then, so how it works is dormant would be without the special magical, without the like high level essence, I guess is how I would put it. You can see I may have gone a little extra crazy on.
So I guess I don't understand how the dormant, awakened, exalted stuff works.
Okay, so to go from dormant to awaken, you have to add one of the essence of the high level creatures. That's what I haven't filled in all the way yet. I just did undead
Sure.
because that's what I was thinking of first.
Well, no, that's I guess, is this replacing like your standard +1, +2, or is this something on top of that?
Okay, so the in those categories, yeah, it replaces. So if you had, let's say, something that was made of silver tungsten that was awakened,
Mhm.
and it went to exalted, you get +3, not +5.
But that's not what I'm asking. Okay, so a standard magical weapon, right, would be like, let's say you have like a +2 flame tongue, since we're talking about it. It's +2 damage and to attack rolls, and then it's got the flame tongue property. Here you've got dragon carcass +2 attack rolls. Is that just +2 to hit? Is
Yes.
that +2 to hit? Okay. Now, if we were, let's say we wanted to get a +2 weapon with those other mods, can we still do that, or does like the dormant and awakened exalted stuff replace the standard +2?
No, this definitely adds on to it.
Okay,
So
that's what I was trying to make sure of.
yeah.
I'm still confused. Well, just one quick point there. You know, you said it's +2 to attack rolls.
Mhm.
Aren't they normally +2 to attack and damage?
Yes, that's what I was asking about, actually, was that if it replaced it, it does not replace it. So you could have it be both a dragon carcass, like an awakened dragon carcass weapon that is a +2. So now it's giving you +4 to your attack rolls and +2 to damage.
Yes.
Oh, fuck me, right, I know. Right, so you could have a standard +2 sword,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
With then an additional +1. And that'd be dormant.
Yes.
Right, so then your attack roll would have a +3, your damage roll would have a +2.
Correct.
Right, then can you then awaken that sword? Or is it built the way it's built?
No. The awakening part, you can make it awaken. The awakening part is when you have to add the magical essence from the
Right.
high level enemy.
So can you then subsequently, so could you be running around with the original dormant sword and then go back and say, right, can I have this awakened?
Yes.
Like as a mod. So then you would have +2. So your +2 sword would have the additional +2, so it'd become +4 attack. Oh no, that's saving throws. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Oh yeah, +4 attack, and it'd still be +2 damage.
Correct.
Right, okay. And then similarly with Exalted, you'd end up with +5 and +2
Yes.
because you'd have a +3 on. Right, okay, yeah, right. I see. And then you'd get all that. Oh, right, okay.
So, like I said, maybe I went a little overboard and I, added more ways to break the game, but I think that's appropriate as the monsters will continually get stronger and also break game.
Okay, so looking at the Undeath and the life sap thing seems really, really good. And like, I feel like we should be trying to make Pete a +2 weapon with a life sap, maybe.
Where's that? I can't see it.
So if you mount, so you see where it says Undead, you see the little black arrow.
Ooh, it is really good. Sometimes I do myself. As a bonus action, you can undo your attacks and spells with life stealing and power. In the next action you take that causes damage, you store hit points equal to half the damage you caused in your equipment. These hit points can be used on any creature you touch, but can only remain in the equipment until the end of your next long rest. Have a little fairy bottle full of life. Or in this case, a flame tongue full of life. Life-giving flame tongue. It's a lot to take in, and also there's a reason that I haven't, well, besides the insane amount of hours I've been playing anyway. But outside of that, there's a decent reason why I haven't also expanded on it too much yet, because it's hard to balance incredibly powerful with not going to break the game automatically.
Oh yeah. What does SS mean, Dale?
What?
What does SS mean? Advance on attack roll / dish against SS. What is SS?
Like spell save DC. So
that makes it. What? Your head just exploded. What?
Okay, so let's say you have a whatever, something that has a black opal in it. And so that means that creatures roll, aberrations roll at disadvantage against your spell saves for things that require them to make a saving throw.
Got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that meant, right, you've got the positive effect of something, advantage on attack rolls, but you have to deal with the fact that it then gives you disadvantage.
Oh,
on...
yeah. No.
I just built it.
I built it so it's both spell
right,
and weapon friendly.
So if you put that into, like, if it, all right, okay.
Now, does the gem effect, is that how you also get, like, okay, if I put a black opal on the thing, is that giving me the aberration effect in red and the...
Okay, so black opal is specific to the aberration effects within it. The aberration effect, like, of the top, you need the... You need, like, the life essence of a powerful aberration.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay, so then in this case, regardless, we probably gemstones. We can buy those. That's not a problem. We have some of them. We can buy the rest. Probably buy the rest. So those are just like a money sink. That's not a big deal. It's the other things that are a problem where we're going to need like silver tungsten, phase stone, yada yada. I will say, as of right now, I feel like silver tungsten is probably the play, just because you guys like one of the worst parts, the hardest things for us is dealing with you guys getting shit kicked out of you. And adding extra AC will just decrease that. Whereas our accuracy is already relatively high. With bounded accuracy and adding magic items like missing is not that common. So adding extra AC just seems better to me. Or we could like Purgatory Brick is just a flat additional 1d8 damage.
Yes.
That's pretty fucking busto, actually. I don't know what's better. It's either that or the AC. That's big. Like it comes down to either the extra 1d8 damage or what is the stuff in yellow, by the way?
Okay, so as I was trying to explain the so like each interaction, obviously you can have a different gem and material combination. So in the dormant form, let's say you have an emerald and silver tungsten. So you obviously get the normal effect of having this be +1 AC and also doing double dice versus aberration. Okay. But also you can cast Conjure Barrage from the weapon. I haven't decided if it's like once per short rest or once per long rest. And then
Okay.
the next one as well, so if you had Awakened version, obviously you get the Awakened benefits plus Conjure Barrage plus Destructive Wave. And then for an Exalted, that's where you get advantage on XYZ save.
So, like, looking at from what we know right now, I'm leaning towards Purgatory Bricks because, it really just comes down to like, okay, let's say we just wanted to make him a plus. So, just as an example, we wanted to make a +2 Flame Tongue Whip, right? Could we add these other effects on top of that, or would it just be this? This is its own separate thing from the Flame Tongue 2d6? Because I feel like adding both would be a lot. Like that's a lot.
I
I
mean,
like it.
It is a lot, I suppose, but I mean, I think you're gonna run into creatures with higher and higher HP, and you're gonna have to, without combat continually dragging out longer and longer, we're gonna have to find a way to remedy that.
Sure. My point was more maybe the Purgatory Brick should just fill the role of like the flat damage on the Flame Tone, and it should just be something that's more customizable rather than it being in addition to, if that makes sense. Instead of making a Flame Tongue, we would acquire like a Purgatory Brick and add an additional, I don't know, 2d6 whatever fire damage or whatever. That's more a game design thing and less a like current gameplay thing. But I think you understand what I'm saying.
I haven't thought it all the way out, and this is what you guys are seeing is obviously still a work in progress. So, any ideas that you guys have? Obviously, I will.
So I guess for me, what I'm thinking right now, like we need. I'm just gonna focus on Pete because he's what I've got on my mind. We need to get him a weapon. Obviously, it has to be a light weapon. Maybe a whip, maybe a sword. That's not that important right now. It needs to be comparable, or it needs to be +2, just so you can have the extra accuracy and damage, which he kind of needs. Some other mod on top of it, preferably something that gives him extra damage, but also extra C would be an option as well. I think extra damage is probably a little better, but it's close. Ooh, maybe something that lets him like something in the vein of like the Undeath of the Life Sap that lets him temporarily get more AC would be good. Though he does kind of already have that with his one class feature.
Are you back with us?
This is insane.
Nope.
Slept through the whole thing.
Poor child. Poor child.
If he wakes up, just ask him to make a death save. Just go, oh, you're back. Just make another death save. Just say, make another death save. Like
Make
that. And
another
he'll go,
death
what?
save.
What's going on?
But so that's kind of the working rubric that I have right now.
So sorry, I was typing this out. I feel like what I typed out in general just now, I feel like is something along the lines of what at least I would want to put on Pete's character would be something like a +2 weapon with some sort of damage rider. The enemy, like the unique enemy type thing, is cool, and that gives it power that's not on all the time, which I think is interesting. Like that's like this is something powerful, and like this is powerful sometimes, and most of the time you just don't care. And then the unspell use thing, which probably needs to be pretty limited. Like I think that's super cool and super thematic. Just gotta be careful because that can be real busted real fast.
Yeah, it's a lot of balancing.
Even once a long rest on something like that would be a lot. Just imagine going into a fight where we somehow only have one fight for the day, and we go into a boss fight and everyone pops their fucking destructive wave weapons on their first turn. It blows everything apart.
That sounds like what you guys do to most of my plans.
Yes, I'm trying to save you from yourself, Dale.
I say, let the world burn, and me burn around it, as I have set myself as the fire.
It's your funeral.
I guess if you want to go out in a pyre like that.
I do. I really do.
So I
Alright.
guess we're about out of time. I guess realistically, what we really need to know is like what we can actually slap on these weapons. Like that's more or less where we're at. We need to figure out what we need to acquire for next session, so we can start doing the acquisitions. Until we know what we can actually use, like what these things actually do, we can't really make that decision.
Okay, so the as far as like getting the stuff, obviously the things that are in red, you're gonna have to find. The reason I did undead, honestly, is because we already have this component.
Okay.
So that's why I fleshed it out first. And that's the only component that we have right now.
Sure, that makes sense.
Of those. Your black like main materials, they're obviously the 3 that are listed very clearly from different planes of existence. You will have to go to other plane of existence to get them in 95% of the cases. Dragon carcass, that's obviously hunting big dragons, depending on the amount of stuff you want.
Sure.
And silver tungsten, you're gonna have to. That's just gonna be rarer material on your plane. So that might require some, like going deep down into mines or into a mountain or something, because it's not going to be easily accessible for all.
Sure.
And as you said, I mean, the gems are just a money thing.
Yeah. So realistically, it just comes down to what do the spell effects, like the Mindbender, Sick You Fighter, and Death or Life Sap. Those effects I think are what are going to ultimately determine what we're making, because those seem to be where like the big meat and potatoes of a lot of these are.
Yeah.
So as we know those, we can get a better idea.
Well, and I can work on. I can definitely. I'm gonna work on them.
Yeah, and then as far as the first part, like I feel like funnily enough, I think the first part is going to be the part that needs the most work, just because looking at some of these are way better than others, and also like I feel like these are supposed to, like looking at these, to me, these are the sorts of things that if you look at a generic D&D magic weapon, like a flame tongue or a vorpal sword, that's what these effects basically are to me, like these sorts of things, those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like those are the things where you might want to just rebalance them some and make them closer to that sort of stuff, because it not only be for a balance reason, but it makes it easier as a player to pick out, oh, what do we want our magic item to do, right? Oh, we know what a Vorpal Sword is. We know what a Flame Tongue is. We want it to do that.
I got you.
Whereas like the other stuff is way more like, not that the stuff up top isn't cool, but it's just more like kind of bookkeeping-y stuff where it's like this does something, but it's not like cool or thematic really. Whereas the stuff down below is like super fucking cool and thematic, right? You've got like, oh, you made a weapon that's like a Bane against undead, so it does all this really cool shit against undead.
Yes.
Also, this as far as first draft goes, this is pretty good, Dale. I'm not trying to like shit in your
Oh
parade
yeah.
or anything.
No. This is definitely
think-
first draft work. So I'm pretty happy that I got decent reception as is.
I think this is brilliant, to be honest, overall.
Conceptually, it's great. Like I said, the only thing I'm not like this is great is the first part, and it's just because it's kind of it is hard for a player to as a player. This is hard, something that's hard to understand and make a choice about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you suggesting that he makes it like some standard magic items at the top that you then all the rest of it bolts on?
It doesn't even have to necessarily be like those standard magical effects. It just needs to be how do I want to put this? Like something that's more standard D&D numerics, I guess would be the best way to put it. Or like not necessarily the same effects, but the same style, the same mathematical approach to it, I guess would be the way to put it.
Yeah.
Like some of this stuff is cool, but for instance, +2 saving throws is incredibly broken. Like that is one of the most broken effects you can give a player. Versus +1d8 damage, which is nice, don't get me wrong, it is nowhere near as broken as +2 saving throws, though. I was purposefully not recommending it when I was talking about weapons, so I'm like, this is going to break the game in half in a bad way, so I'm just going to pretend this doesn't exist.
Alright.
Like, for instance, on the Dormant, Awaken, and Exalted Netherstone, I'm pretty sure the Dormant version is better than the other two.
Is it?
Yeah, advantage on initiative. Here's the problem. Because of how initiative works, going first can be really broken if you're someone like Halbjorn, who's like a terrible character, like terribly slow, but does a bunch of damage. So if we could haste Halbjorn and give him a huge chance to go first, where he can just wade in and blow something up like right off the bat, like it's not always more powerful than the others, but in optimal use case scenarios, it's probably just more powerful than the others.
But yeah, if you go first on initiative, you could take out actual enemies, and they're not gonna get a turn effectively.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, on its surface, it's less powerful, but when you abuse it, it's way more busted than the other two.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think abusing has also I mean, because like, what was the discussion
the
we had
thing,
about flanking?
I have no problem with it being there and abusable. I just don't think it should be on the first tier of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. That should perhaps.
It's one of those things where it's like deceptively way more powerful than it looks, and it's one of those things where like if you just have it and you're not abusing it, it's kind of whatever. But if you're abusing it, it's like force multiplier, huge force multiplier. You just take Halbjorn, put that in his weapon, pre-buff him, let him go first, and just watch him fucking wait. Or like shit, if we had I think it's Gloomstalker. There's one of the Ranger
Oh yeah, it is.
subclasses where they do a bunch of extra damage on the first turn. So now we give them advantage on initiative, and then just buff the shit out of them and watch them go in and just fucking flatten something. The advantage on attack roll basically doesn't matter. Like it does, because we're using the flanking rules, it almost never comes up. It'll only come up if you already go first and there's no one near the enemy you're hitting. So
Right.
then occasionally, so you get a little bit of value on that, but
So just some reorganization.
Advantage on attack rolls would. Hang on. What's the? If you've got advantage on attack roll, do you not get sneak attack?
right, but it's only on one roll. It's advantage on your first attack roll.
Oh.
So
Oh no! Sorry, I was looking for because on that dragon card, because you've got it's +1 attack rolls. Yeah, sorry, I was misreading something there.
Yeah.
Advantage on first attack roll. Yeah, my mistake. Sorry.
It was just advantage on attack rolls would be a different territory, but it's advantage on the first attack roll versus
Mm.
advantage on initiative.
Yeah.
Initiative matters way more than one attack roll.
Actually, guaranteed advantage on attack rolls could be useful.
Yes.
But
No,
time-
that would be very powerful. That would be on a similar power level to advantage on initiative.
yeah.
Maybe it's a little better than advantage on initiative. It's close. It depends on it's contextual, right? There's going to be fights where advantage on initiative is just better. There's going to be fights where we're all spread out and advantage on attack rolls is just better, right?
So a little reorganization on the top part, but and
Yeah.
then fill out the
I think
second
it's
part.
ace though. How long have you spent doing this?
I think I came up with this in a couple hours.
Oh right.
I just kind of looked and thought to myself, and I was like, how do I want to do this? And then I just started piecing things together, and then they started coming together in different ways. I think the longest part was actually just making sure that, like, I had kind of a decent variety and decent accurate of the spells.
So I'll be honest, looking at this, the one thing I would looking at this, thinking about it right now with the purgatory brick, I would probably replace that with some sort of elemental essence, so we could just add flat elemental damage to a weapon. Also, because this is just me talking as a player, having to go get something from purgatory with how time passes there fucks everything up. We would never ever go do that just because of time. We go to purgatory, we come back, 6 days have passed, everything's gone to shit. We ain't got time for that.
Very, very true.
We're not sending half of our group off to fucking purgatory to deal with that, and then come back and find half of our party dead. No.
But I would say purgatory for the advantage on initiative and attack rolls and advanced save. That all makes sense to me because to me purgatory is time fuckery, and something like advantage on initiative and advantage on an attack roll is time fuckery based, right? So for me, I would take what is Netherstone supposed to represent thematically? Going to the Netherworld?
Yes.
I don't. Okay.
Which is also a timeless plane.
It's fair.
In fact, realistically, all of these, except for the first two, are timeless plane.
I mean, I think my recommendation would be to take the Netherstone and make it part of a series of elemental things we could put on the weapons and make that be something. I don't know. I don't really know what the Netherworld represents in this plane. Is that I mean, I think Purgatory represents afterlife, so I'm not really sure.
The Netherworld definitely represents the 9. In traditional D&D, the Netherworld would be akin to, I don't know, Avernus probably.
The plane of demons, right? I'm misunderstanding what Avernus is.
No,
it's a hellscape. Yeah, no, it's basically where all the demons and devils are. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me that definitely seems that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Netherstone. I will say I like the idea of Purgatory Brick being the advantage on initiative, advantage on attack rolls, advantage on saves. To me, that makes sense. But I guess if all of the planes are like that, right, where they're just weird timeless planes where everything is all fucky, I have that association with Purgatory because it's the only one of those planes I've been to, right?
Mm-hmm. No, it's fair.
So yeah, but I feel just the other thing I will say is weird is the +1 attack rolls from the Dragon Carcass is a bit weird just because that's, I don't know if Roll20, well no it does, but that gets awkward to keep track of. Not impossible obviously because we have Roll20, but it's a little weird. It's workable. This is not that's unplayable. That's just sort of the opposite of how 5e kind of does things. As much as I would love to keep chatting because I really would there's sort of nuts and bolts I would say digesting, but that's not what I mean. Dissecting things is I fucking love, but I actually have to go start cooking. I've got to make lunch and I have to start dinner. So
Have a good day.
Again, I'm sorry for being late. Very late.
Hey, you
Actually-
know what? At least you showed up today.
You also didn't sleep through the session. You were late, but you didn't also sleep through the session, which
He's gonna listen to this and hear us talking so much smack.
Yeah. Like John's in purgatory. That's where he's been. for the
That's where he
session.
is.
he was late and slept through the session. It's like fucking double gaming.
Yeah.
Basically showed up just in time to apologize for sleeping through the start of it to sleep through the rest.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
You guys next
so
week.
I'll work
Alright,
out those
cool.
mechanics, and then next week we'll pick up and see what we want to do with Blacksmithy Guy.
Yep, sounds good. Have a good week.
Alright,
Happy
see you
Thanksgiving.
next week.
Go
Happy
well.
Sleep
Thanksgiving.
well.
Take care. Be
Bye-bye.
safe.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving, you lot. Bye bye.
Bye.